while Chris is, filling rooms, I'm filling Zooms, right? And what we really, I just made that up. What we really want to do is we want you to be able to use whatever approach you're comfortable with to go to that one-to-many mentality. We want you to be able to say, okay, if you're standing in a room, if you're educating people, if you're talking to them, how do you fill that room? What are you saying? How do you bring them together? If you're using webinars, we want to make sure, are you doing them right? Are you attracting the right people? What you'll come to realize is the actual event, and I'm sure you probably see this, is the actual event isn't like the hard part. It's everything else that surrounds it. It's what leads up to a webinar, what leads up to an event, how you de-platform, or how you turn people that show up to an event into a lead, into a relationship. So that's what we want to go through today. And however you want to kick this off, I mean, we're all comfortable here. We want to answer your questions. If we sit up here and just tell you everything, it's what we think you want to know, but we want to know kind of what you want to know, and that can kind of lead the conversation.
Yeah, so let's get some questions. Tell me
about your post-webinar, post-class process.
Yeah, so I try to hit a 7-day, really a 7-day campaign post-webinar, okay? The goal of my webinar, like when and you speak to the event side of this, the goal of my webinar is to create a client within the webinar. Like I have specific call to actions within the webinar. I don't wait till the end and book a call, or wait to this. I want specific trigger points within my webinar to create a call to action. I always have somebody moderating. So someone's always moderating my webinars, okay? And within the webinar, there will be call to actions like click the link to book a strategy call. Click here, click here. But it's always strategic points in my webinar. I'm flashing that because I want to grab the client the second that they're interested. And if they leave the webinar, they leave the webinar. But I want their information, because what do we want? Data, right? I want data. So the follow-up process starts within the webinar. I try to do a thank you, grab the recording before it expires. So create that urgency, create the, hey, if you don't grab the webinar right now, you're gonna miss out. And then I'll trickle it over about 7 days of specific campaigns, information, call to actions, social media, follow me on socials, right? I want them to gravitate towards me. I want them to get into my socials, get into my newsletters. And so it's really hardcore over the next 7 days. Yeah.
And to add on to that, like, I can't tell you how important that scripting is in the in-person event, right? I used to, very early on, I used to kind of do that and say at the end, hey, we'd love to talk to you down the line. But one of the first things I say when I come on is, I'm gonna give you guys some high-level nuggets that I want you to take away from here to think about. And then we are going to be reaching out to you after the seminar, and the one-on-one time is really where that magic happens, right? I wanna prep them that they're going to be hearing from me, and then my LP1 is going to be calling them. And like Daniel, I'm gonna be dripping them. I have a 12-week drip that goes out to call to action, follow me on social, and book a one-on-one from there.
These are direct-to-consumer campaigns you guys are running via Facebook or like different places to get people into your webinars or to your in-person events?
Are we running, sorry, say that one more time?
Yeah, like these are campaigns that you guys are running, or direct-to-consumer campaigns that you guys are running through Facebook, through like different channels to get people into your in-person or webinar events?
So the D2C to me it's a very expensive buyer, like it's an expensive lead. So believe it or not, my webinars are not made for D2C, but in a roundabout way they are. For me specifically, it helps me opens up relationships in other areas. To me, the webinar is not it's not the gold. It's just my little nugget to call an agent and say, hey, how many leads has your loan officer brought you in the past 30 days?
Right.
Like, how many have they brought you? Because usually the answer is none, right? Mine is, I can recycle your database, I can market to your database, and I can bring you a lead, I can bring you a loan. So you're almost tricking them into thinking you're delivering a lead, when in reality you're just taking what was already theirs and you're just bringing it back to the surface. So I use my webinars as kind of a way to go after agents in other states, like I do them in Georgia, or I'll partner with a title company and we'll do a webinar for agents. I'm trying to leverage everybody else's data. You know what I mean? No, I don't do D2C ads. Have I done it? It's expensive. Like you pay heavily for those D2C ads. But I can get an entire database from agents I can get them to trust me to give them all the contact information, and then I just drip campaign them, I AI, chat them, and now I have, my database just got expanded, not because I'm doing the transaction, but because I'm just leveraging somebody else's database.
Same for you, no DTC?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. You can do the DTC stuff, and spend $5-10 a lead. The quality of those leads, in my experience, has been difficult, right? So when I'm starting out with a new realtor and I'm going to do a home buyer masterclass with them, I think the pitch to them is to use this as an excuse to call every single person in a database. And instead of saying, are you looking to buy or sell a home in 2025? I'd love to help you out with your home. No, you're calling them and saying, hey, great news, I'm putting on this masterclass. I'm going to show you how to build wealth through owning real estate. I want to show people how to build wealth through owning real estate. Do you know anybody who would be interested in this masterclass, right? And they're going to say, well, not me right now, but so-and-so coworker. Oh, great. Well, is it all right if, I reach out to them, right? And that realtor is really going to drive a lot of that because they're going to be the face. Like in my masterclass, I'm the supporting character. I've got Melanie's my main one I do it with. She is the star, right? And it's funny because people call me and they'll say, I came to Melanie's masterclass and I'm reaching out to you. I'm like, I was there as well, but that's fine. I'll give her the credit. I don't care because it's coming back to me, right? But it's got to be something where the pre-event, they're leveraging that because I've been to ones too where we'll show up and there'll be like 1-2 people there. And I'll be like, well, how was the calling beforehand? Well, we didn't really reach out that much. Well, that's where you're gaining the most traction, the most outreach to remind people what you do without having to shove real estate down their throat. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a lot of hands. I'm going to start in front and work our way back here.
How many CTAs do you guys do throughout the Lunch and Learn or the webinar? And then what are you guys doing, like the campaigns through Zoom or just like through like wherever you do your newsletter? Or because I've been doing webinars since the last GrowthCon, but I feel like that's where Sean Kaplan, he does them all the time, and he and Amir does them as well too, and then you're just constantly getting reminders, and I think that the conversion would just be way up, but I haven't really messed too much with that.
So what do you always have with you? Right? Phone?
Your phone, yeah.
Right. So if you can get the text messages to go, like if you can create the campaigns and the drips to that, obviously it's going to be the most successful.
Where do you create them?
So I don't use the text messages at all. I personally don't do, I'm not campaigning for like D2C. What I'm doing is I'm just taking a database and I use MailChimp. I'm just MailChimping an email to them.
So I use Flowdesk. So that's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Yep.
That was my question. Does it go through Zoom or okay?
Yep.
And then how many CTAs are you guys doing through?
5 to 7
5 to 7
during the actual thing, right? So it's a web technique I use. It's the why are you here? I educate and then I book web, like a spider web. So why, educate, book. You got to book them. Like you got to get them to sign up. At least for the webinar. If you're not getting them to sign up, then you're going to lose it. And somebody that's on a webinar, when are they the hottest buyer? If they showed up for a webinar, they are a hot buyer. You lose them past the webinar, it trickles very, very fast. Very, very fast.
Yeah, and then we have, I guess, a total 4 call-outs during the actual webinar. The one that I was saying earlier there, right? We're going to book a one-on-one with you. At the end, we're always telling them that they should follow us on social. So we take a minute, we have it up there on the screen, and you always see it. Everybody pulls out their phone. Hey, we'd love to get your support, even if we don't work with you. Would you give us a follow, right? And then we also make a little joke at the end where we say, hey, we're not public speakers by trade. I do mortgages. Melanie does real estate, but we'd love to work with you. Please book a call with us to learn more. And that's really, it's not quite as hard, but we've built this over time, just doing it consistently. Yeah, great question. You can lead the charge.
So you mentioned you're using email for your outreach. But you said something real quick about engaging in an AI chat.
This would be webinar 303, It's a different room. So when I say the chat, right? So I have a chat built out. So and the reason I don't want you to get too distracted by this because you can go down the rabbit hole of chat bots. But if you want to be like really good with it and strategic with it, my chat bot basically will take the leads from the webinar, people that sign up for it, and will conversate them into an appointment. So it's not a
Inside what channel? Email?
go high level. So go high. It's built off of go high level. It's text messaging. It's a text conversation.
And that's after the webinar?
Correct. Yeah. But it's also how I leverage these agents, the agents' data points, right? Now, there's so many different types of AI conversation bots. Again, you can go down the rabbit hole with them, but it's all about how well they communicate. Like, how are they really talking? Are they talking within language, or are they sounding like preloaded content, right? But if you go down that route, it just takes it up a notch, like what we were talking about. You have the conversation in the text messages, then you're going to convert a lot more, a ton more.
And you're actually using, because Go High Level has native AI bots.
Yeah.
Are you using the native?
No, I had them built out. That's why I'm saying this is like, look, y'all, this is recorded, so I'm going to get in trouble.
Now, I think, yeah, Daniel, I'm going to learn some things from Daniel in terms of the chat bots. But just starting out, like, all you need is a drip campaign after the close. You can set that up in ChatGPT, right? Easy enough there. And just really, you're just reformatting the webinar, laying it back out. We do it over a 12-week period, right? So you can go high level, go next level with Daniel's. But I think if you just have that, that's going to be a great start. And then the one thing that I have learned is that when we're doing our registrations, people are very willing to give their email. Most of the time, the email is going to be a real email because they want to know where to go. People are usually pretty hesitant to give a phone number. So when we're signing people up, we always make the phone number optional. This is just my preference on it, because what we found is that if we made it mandatory, people would put in just like, 11111, whatever, right? But if we make it optional, it was like about 60% of people would fill in their phone number, and those are the people that actually wanted to connect afterwards as well. So that's just a little tip that we learned over
Do you guys give away anything when you, who's actively doing webinars? I
Yeah,
should
that's a
ask
great
that.
question.
Okay, so the majority of the room's not doing these webinars. I would say that a lot of piece of this is, again, we talking about the webinar like it's the secret sauce. We're playing chess here. Like I'm not playing checkers where the webinar is the thing. The game is to get into the relationship with the agent. Like that's what I'm leveraging these webinars from. When I have people sign up, I give away things. I have Ultimate Home Buyer Guide. I have 7 steps to whatever X, Y, and Z. I'm trying to capture so much data points from different parts of this process that by the time they get to the webinar, I probably have enough data where I can really go after them. And so I want everything. Like I want to give them home buyer guides. Do you guys know what Claude is? Claude? Oh man, dude, I should have done an AI one. So you can spot a ChatGPT post from a mile away. Now, they all got the same emojis, everything's the same. Claude, you can teach to speak like you. Like C-L-A-U-D-E, Claude. The reason I bring up Claude is because Claude will help you generate these follow-up campaigns where it doesn't feel like ChatGPT. Like you can have it story sell. You can have it tell you like you can make it sound like you by just putting in posts that you might have already created, and then it can just mass create stuff that sounds exactly like you. I don't use ChatGPT for anything writing emails or anything like that. I use Claude for everything when it comes to drip campaigns.
That's good.
You had your hand up. You're committed to that handhold.
Good elevator pitch to break in to convince an agent that this is beneficial?
Yeah.
Going into the database?
Yeah, so it depends on the route, okay? If I'm going webinar route, I lead with hey, do you have a couple minutes? When was the last time your loan officer brought you a lead? And that's typically enough to me get them on the phone to where I can say, okay, let me tell you about this process. Let me tell you how we're gonna go that route. Now, if I'm going the route of I want their database, well then I go with, okay, I'm talking to, if somebody has a database, if they're paying for leads and they have access to these leads, I know that they're more of an entrepreneur, they're more of a business mind than they are an agent. So I need to talk to them like a business owner. So if I'm going the business route, I'm saying, okay, when you're looking at your leads, when you're looking at how you're doing your business, do you have an ISA? Like, are you paying an ISA? How much are you paying them? Do they call out sick? Do they ask for a raise? Did they take vacation? Okay, what if I could deliver something that never asked for a vacation, never got sick, never asked for a raise, was working 24/7? Would you want that? Would you want that to maintain your database? Like I had a real estate agent who didn't believe me in this, and they gave me 300 leads, and the sweet spot for me is 90 to 120-day leads. I got their leads, and I ran it through. There was 40 people that had just recently bought, and it was because their ISA forgot to call. That's a lot of money, right? So if we can show up, and I just got out of Trevor's thing, and he talked about being different, right? For me, the difference maker is I'm not going to let your deals fall through the cracks. I'm going to put my arms around them through webinar, through the AI, through in-person events, and I'm going to make sure that you don't lose any money, because there's so many agents losing money right now because they're horrible at follow-up. So we're just giving them the follow-up process. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah.
What you got, Cyrus?
What's your strategy on topic selection? Is it good to go broad, like, how to build wealth?
Such a good question.
Real estate to get quantity, or are you guys finding success in like niche program or type of property webinar topics?
Good question. So, my most successful one called So You Want to Buy a Condo. We do it downtown Chicago. There's tons of inventory, but we always explain it's not just limited to condos, right? So that's kind of our niche. But then when we get into the home buyer class, or master class, I should say, it's really just a high level walkthrough, right? So I'll talk about the pre-approval and that process up front, what it looks like to fund, some very, very high level stuff on the closing. Most people have no idea. And we used to get up and do this where we had like graphs about where you were gonna go and what the flow charts were. And like we were saying, candlestick charts on rates, and people's eyes just glossed over, right? These people just need to be hit with some nuggets of information. They need to be reminded, you don't need 20% down to buy a home, right? You can buy a multi-unit with as little as 5% down, right? There's first-time homebuyer programs, grants. These catch these people's attention, and then they remember you as, man, this guy was a positive source of information, and he knows his stuff because he's been doing it. I'm going to reach out to him to set up that one-on-one. So mine are very high level when it comes to the actual content, just because we found that. And then mine are only really about 45 to 50 minutes long, split between me and the realtor, because once again, I found that these people just want to get in, get out, and then we really drip them and follow up with them hard. But I'm curious what yours are like, Dan.
How many of y'all have gone in Eventbrite and saw first-time homebuyer classes?
Oh my God.
Like, you've seen them, right? And it says first-time homebuyer class, first-time homebuyer class. When you do a webinar or you do any of these events, all that matters is the title.
Yeah.
All that matters is the title. Like, just come up with a crazy title, and it's gonna, in a sea of first-time homebuyer class, make it be the first of your generation to purchase a home.
I like that.
Dude, actually, save that one. That's a good one. Or do a first-time seller webinar, because what's a first-time seller? Potentially a second-time buyer. Now you got the experience. So I guess when you're really trying to identify what's your brand, what are you really good at? I had one that was, it was self-employed buyers. It was in the stigma of self-employment and home buying. I did one for St. Patrick's Day. It was like striking gold in real estate. So it corny, right? But it's all about just standing out in that sea of Eventbrites. It's just don't do first-time home buyer. Call it something really cool. What are you really good at? Identify it, and then put a really cool title on it, and it will stop the scroll.
Do you use ChatGPT and Claude, or do you use Claude? Because like I use ChatGPT for those, because I agree with you, the title is everything. But I don't know. I was just curious if you use both of them.
Claude for anything language.
But then you use ChatGPT for.
Yeah. So Claude can code. Claude can do a lot of different like in the weed stuff. More systems, collaboration, different things like that. I have ChatGPT check Claude's work and have them talk to each other. But Claude is, I know, it's crazy. Claude is more of the language. Like it's gonna sound like you. Majority, if you follow me on Facebook, like a lot of my posts that get tons of engagement is Claude. It's just Claude that I've trained to talk like me and story sell.
New addition to the tech stack for everybody here. That's great.
Yeah, Claude, man. Claude's legit.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the in-person events. So you said how you're building your webinars by marketing to Realtors databases, but how do you guys actually get people to attend your in-person events? How many people generally actually come? I guess those are my two
Yeah.
biggest questions.
Good question. So, like, let's take a step back there. So, the other question I get there a lot is also like, where do you hold these things, right? Because nobody wants to come to a library, let's be honest, and go learn about from the Eventbrite invite there. Nobody wants to do that. We try to find businesses that are typically like closed during the hours we're going to do it. So, we typically do it after work, 6 to 7 on a Wednesday or Thursday. That's when we found kind of the sweet spot there. And just last month, we partnered with a coffee shop in downtown Chicago where they closed their doors, I think it was at 4 or 5, I can't remember. They were closed, and so it was a win-win because they were going to make some extra money from us renting out the place, but it wasn't an arm and a leg to get them in there. We paid a total of, I think, $300 for the event space because we had it for 2 hours total, right? You can go to a restaurant, one of those, you could pay a couple $1,000s in the city of Chicago. So I would target those kind of places there. And then in terms of the outreach, I really, really subscribe to using it as a catalyst for these agents just to get out there and make the calls. Just like us, I think realtors run into a lot of call reluctance. They're not reaching out to enough people. They're not staying top of mind with enough people. So first and foremost, it's got to be a call. And you can help them generate a script in terms of that, just to reach out and make their database aware of that, and then ask for referrals to the event. And then the third thing is, just getting out there on social, right? You can go out there and make it fun. You can shoot a video with them, post it, collaboration, right? And if they have a database of emails, to Daniel's point, send out email invites there as well. And then when I have them, they're typically between 20 and 40 people are showing up. And then here's the next level from there that we're figuring out is just in the last year, we've partnered with different groups, right? So instead of us going out to, all these people are here, all these people are here, we're finding groups that we are reaching out to and partnering with them to tap into their database. So the big partnership we've been doing these last couple months, there's a group out of Chicago that's called Chicago Girls Who Walk. Started in COVID, great story. They just all want to get out and walk together, build some friendship, social distance, all that stuff. But it's a really tight community. And so we have been reaching out to people in these types of groups, leaders of these groups, to say, hey, we've got this homebuyer masterclass we would love to share. Here's our proof of concept. Is this something you'd be open to? And a lot of these people want to give back to their community as well. And so this last one we had 33 people there from Chicago Girls Who Walk. We're going to have another one coming up just from there, because there's I think 3,000 people in that community alone. So if you can pick off or target these groups where you don't have to sell to a whole bunch of people who don't know you, you can more streamline the reach out. That's been super helpful for us here too.
You said how many people were showing up? I missed that.
Usually about 20 to 40 people showing up.
And how many people do you think you and the agent are calling? Just calling, not like social, not newsletters.
Ahead of the event you're saying? Oh, geez. I think the active ones are probably calling, like I've got one, Michael, he's probably calling 150 to 200 people before the event and just hitting it. But he works the phone really, really well. And then attendance-wise, usually, I'm curious what your numbers are, but usually I see about half
So yeah,
register
I would say probably about
actually
that.
show up.
Yep, but I'm hitting all of them multiple times, right?
Yeah.
So the landing pages and the giving away the free thing. I wrote this real quick. Y'all can't read what it says, but it was something to do. No, you don't. This is for me. Note for me. Not to forget it, because you asked location. With webinar, it's all about time. I want to make sure that I say that, is that it's very important to be strategic with what time you're doing your webinars. I did a self-employed one before, and I did it at 6:30. No one showed up. And I was talking to somebody, I'm like, why did no one show up for my webinar? And he was like, well, what's it about? And he's like, self-employment. I was like, he goes, well, because entrepreneurs are trying to maximize their day, not extend their day. Like, man, I should have done it during the day, because then I would have grabbed more attention. So time is very important when you're doing webinars. Just focus, make sure you do the right time.
What time are you doing?
My webinars?
Yeah.
Thursday at like 1:30 for like my self-employment. Thursdays around 11. They're pretty, for some reason Thursday's like the day to do stuff.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, I think you hit on something key with reaching out to those local groups. Realtors are always like, you know, when are you going to bring your lead? And if we're tapping into our realtors, like, hey, give me your database. If you can get into your local groups, that's giving you the ability to add value to your agents.
And status too, right? You're seen as the expert in that group mindset. So, you know, you can even challenge your realtor to ask them, what groups are they involved with? Maybe it's an alumni association in the city, right? Everybody, you know, if you go to University of Illinois, you want to help out other U of I grads and help the people who serve those people as well, right? So you can get their brain turning, and maybe they have connections with different groups, associations, or we've also done company ones as well. Talk to somebody you know in HR, right? And get in. A lot of these companies really want to do employee retention, right? They know that if an employee buys a home, they're going to be staying at their job, right? They're happy, they're grounded there. So a lot of these companies will put on, you know, what's it called, like employee. Yeah, right. So they want to educate their employees on that kind of stuff. It's a good way to dovetail in there as well. But I think the groups are a really big untapped way to streamline the lead flow there.
Private Facebook groups. If you don't own, anybody have their own private Facebook group? Oh, you should, right? You should have your own private Facebook group, because what are you doing? You're just attracting the client that want to work with you. I heard somebody say this the other day. If you're not saying something to inspire, irritate, you're not saying anything at all. Right? So you gotta get these groups, and if you can get private Facebook groups, then you have people that you can just advertise to all the time. Put a bunch of agents in a group, and they're your agents basically.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are you using any type of like recording platform when you're doing your live webinars? And
Zoom.
Are you repurposing like the content for social media on your page or not?
No. Nope. I don't use any of the webinar content. I record it off Zoom, and then I just send it to them when we're done. I don't chop it up. I don't use like Riverside, or I don't chop anything up for my webinars. I keep them there, and then I will create, like, within my first couple days, hey, grab this webinar before it disappears. So
Can you set the settings on Zoom?
Mhm.
Like, this recording will only be available for.
no, not on Zoom. I just in my email. It's not. It's available forever.
Oh, so
Yeah. Like, this email's disappearing forever after this date. But what I want them to do is click go to landing page, right? So if you're doing the webinar thing, right, I would have some sort of follow up, like prior to the event, some form of email marketing if you want to get into the SMS marketing, but some form of marketing. Zoom webinar is what I use, so that's how I actually do the webinar. I use MailChimp to follow up with the process. I use Claude to help come up with the content for the follow-up process. I always have my socials in there, so I make sure everybody follows me on my socials, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And then that's really, that's it when it comes to the webinar piece of it. Again, I don't necessarily get a ton of these buyers to convert from the webinar. However, I now have tons of relationships with real estate agents who are sending me their buyers. That's the piece, right? I'm working with agents in other states. I don't mess with my backyard. I'm out there having fun. I'm going after agents wherever I'm not.
That was my question. So there's no limit to what you do. What about you, Chris, in your local market? How many realtors do you feel like you partner with?
Right now, I've had the strongest connection with Melanie, and then we've done probably close to 175 homebuyer seminars.
Did you just do it with her?
That's primarily who I've done with, and then you do get a halo effect, right? You get people who see your success and they want to work with you on that as well. I'm curious if you see that from your side.
Say it again.
Like a halo effect, like they see just how well the webinar or the masterclass, or they're talking to their realtor friends.
Agents are fun. They're fun. You got to convince them a little bit. But I think once you have one proof of concept, then it makes it very easy to open the door. If you guys are ever doing like the in-person events, and you probably do this, always get the testimonial videos. Grab as much testimonial video as you can that it works, so that you can show proof of concept. Because without proof of concept, there's really nothing. So, but yeah.
But then I have a handful of other people I do them with, not as regularly there, but I don't have to really reinvent anything either, because they're marketing their sphere, and they're not going to overlap, so it's really an abundance kind of mentality.
Is this helpful?
Yes.
Is this okay? All right. You've had your hand up for a minute, and then I'll swing back there to you.
Yeah, so in terms of content creation, right, you talked a little bit about 20 minutes of just talking about pre-approval and process. I think we can all speak to that. But A, where are you developing that content, the PowerPoint slide or whatever you're using? And then B, how often are you using it? Right, if you're in a webinar every week, you can't put up the same exact slides. So just curious where that's coming from. I think that's a roadblock for
Yep.
what the hell am I going to present?
Yeah. So I hate slides. Like, I hate presentations because people typically just read what's on the slide. Use Gamma AI. It's who uses Gamma? Okay, that's more hands. Gamma. If you're doing any type of slide work and you're spending more than, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes on creating a slide deck, you've spent too much time. Gamma AI will create the slide deck for you, and then you can just talk to it and be like, hey, repurpose the slides for a different presentation. So Gamma AI is what I use, and that's how I'm doing the content.
So I think it'd be super helpful to kind of map it out then. So you're trying to get like the title first, because that's going to hook people in there.
Title hooks.
Right, and you do that through Claude?
Claude or just me.
Or
Sometimes
just you?
I still use what Amir said, the natural intelligence.
It just comes, yeah, exactly. And then you're taking that and you're using Gamma AI to make the slides.
So if I take it, then what I'll say is I'll take it and say either ChatGPT or Claude, here's the title of my webinar, create 5 slides that would attract the consumer. And then boom. And then I take those 5 slide titles or information, take it right to Gamma, copy paste. And then Gamma spits me out a whole presentation. And then I take presentation and I put it into the webinar creation. Only should take 15 minutes. Like I'm not spending, like when I'm doing this stuff, I am not spending time, right? And then when I'm on there, I learned very quickly also that real estate agents will freeze. So I had mine who was supposed to give a 15-minute presentation froze. So I find that I have now, when a real estate agent does these with me, it's more of an interview, more podcast style. So I'll ask her questions and I'll lead the conversation, or whoever I'm doing it with. And then I always leave Q&A. And I always get them to submit a question when they sign up. I'm like, hit me with your question when you sign up, so I know kind of what I'm asking and what people want to know.
Oh, so you could steer the conversation
Yeah.
based on that. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
I promise back there.
Yeah, so you were talking about proof of concept, which I think is great, just to be able to actually get them in. Do you have like delivery on that? Meaning, if, let's say you're meeting 80 new agents a year, and that's obviously a great tool, they're interested, wanting to utilize it. Is the retention there? Meaning, are you able to actually get them the contacts? And then is there a higher conversion rate for any of those actually converting to like a deal for them?
So I don't have a year of data for like the webinar. I have a handful of them, and I would say the handful of them I can tangibly take a handful of them, of ones that we've tracked and ones that have turned into pre-approvals and ones that have turned into fundings. So I know that if I have a database of, I think we had a database of 60 for that self-employed one, right? We had about 20 to 30 show up for the webinar. I had about 5 that actually booked a call, and we funded 2. So I funded 2 loans from her database, which I can take that and show. But to say, do I have a year of data to do? No, I don't. I don't have a year of data. But I got enough for what we've done to say, okay, it works and it costs you no money.
And it takes 45 minutes of your time.
15. I wouldn't spend. I'm just kidding.
The only thing that I would try to almost like keep up with is after 6 months, if for some reason I'm going to get, let's say, 5 leads each month, which is great. And then at month 6, they're kind of like, it's like a realtor.com thing. You're like, well, these aren't really closing. I don't know where that actually is. But you
Yeah. So I don't promise fundings. Like, I don't promise closed transactions. I say leads. Like, what you heard me say a minute ago, like, I can deliver you a lead, which I'm able to do, and I've done it multiple times. The other piece to this is the follow-up with their data, like all their data points, right? So the 30 to 40 that didn't show up for the webinar are still getting marketing and still getting hit for me as well. So I'm not stopping working on anybody that they've handed me as far as data points. That's where the AI side of it comes into it, like the chats. But I see what you're saying.
Can I just, I step in before anyone else, the point you just made there, the follow-up, that you're sending the drips, is that made with AI at the moment and going out, or have you got something scheduled?
You know me by now, right? Like, it's pretty much, like, the written stuff is AI. I use, like, MailChimp. I'm just MailChimping, like I would use my newsletters.
But are you creating it in the moment? For example, like if something happens
Got you.
drastically to rates, are you
Got you.
responding with that and sending that out now?
So, no, I keep the same framework. If I was gonna do like what you're talking about, I would just add them to my newsletters. Because part of the drip campaign is sign up for my newsletter, right? And I just get them out of this drip and into another one where they're getting my newsletters, they would get that. One of them is follow me on socials. So when they follow me on socials, they'll get that kind of content as well.
How much time is your webinar? 45 minutes or
So 60,
60 minutes?
yeah, 60. But I think 45 is the sweet spot.
That's what I've been.
You start having fallout around that mark, and you're rambling a lot. Yeah, 45 is good with a 15-minute Q&A built into it.
Okay, so when you're doing these, whether it's a webinar that just
Yeah.
you're hosting or you're doing a class with another agent, are you soliciting or marketing to your own individual databases as well?
That's a good question.
Or you're just tapping into theirs? Because, right, you have conflict if you're reaching out to your clients and going, hey, come to this class that I'm hosting with this real estate agent when you were referred to me by another real estate agent. So how does that work?
You want to go first? You want me to go?
Yeah, I typically give them the tools to do that reach out.
Yeah,
So
okay.
my wife is also my business development coordinator. God bless Sarah Kinsella. And so she's helping a lot with the setup and the back end to get those emails out. They're marketing their database, but also giving them the tools to call and reach out. I'm typically not marketing to my database. I'll put something on social, but I don't want to make anybody feel like I'm poaching anybody's leads to come over here.
And your realtor partner is cool with that?
Yeah.
Understands that?
Understands
I
that,
just
yeah.
hosted a home buyer happy hour last week with a realtor team, and we had this conversation. It was my first time doing an event with a real estate agent, and they were like, oh yeah, we totally understand. We'll put your face on everything. If you share it on social media, awesome, but we would not expect you to reach out to your clients. So I just didn't know if that was kind of I don't know that everybody would work that way,
Yeah.
right? But that's what you're doing too, is equip them, and then you're kind of sitting in the background. I'll share it on Instagram.
And one-off, I'll get people who call me and say, hey, I got referred to you by so-and-so, I'm not working with an agent. Well, then I can also go, great, here's Melanie, go talk to her, get a consultation with her while we're talking. And hey, we're also having a home buyer seminar coming up next month at XYZ, and that makes them that much stickier, and they love that. But those are more few, and they're not as prevalent, obviously.
Sure.
I will not advertise my webinar in my newsletter. I'll pull people out of the webinar to my newsletter. I will not advertise it to my database of people, but I will put it everywhere on social. I layer it with agents to where they don't overlap, because I can't advertise for 2 webinars. So I always wait for one to expire before I tell them. I'm up front. I'm like, you can put it everywhere you want, but it's not hitting my socials until I finish this one first. So I don't overlap them, to be fair.
Thank you.
I like that.
Oh, you guys might have to play rock, paper, scissors.
Bobby, hit us. What you got?
So any strategies in identifying agents you want to approach, ones that would be highly likely to be involved in our leads?
Yeah, so not brand new ones. They're not going to necessarily have the database. I would say somebody that's been in the business a while, somebody that I typically am trying to go after the broker. Like I really want the broker, the ones that are controlling maybe like the leads. And then they'll hook me up with some of the agents that have a bigger database to it. But I'm approaching it again from the business side of, hey, you're letting a lot of things slip. You're losing a ton of money, and I want to show you how. I want to show you why you're losing a ton of money. So somebody that's been in the business, I would say a while, that they're doing more than, I don't know if I can put a number on it, 15 to 30 buy sides, you're going to probably have a better transaction. And I don't stay away from, if they're heavy listing, I don't stay away from that because I can do a first-time seller webinar like we talked about. Because a listing agent's always like, well, I do heavy listings. I don't really work with buyers. Perfect. I got a webinar for you. You know, and so you can hit all clients with that. And I'll come to you in the back. I think we're like I saw 2
And
minutes.
Yeah, we'll be hanging out afterwards as
Yeah.
well, so if you guys
Yeah.
have more questions, come find us, but.
So the general idea is you get from start to finish, you're calling on a new agent, right, that's doing good business, you say,
Yep.
when's the last time your loan officer ever gave you a lead? Well, never, you meet with them, you say, I can help you save more business.
Correct.
You're advertising these webinars, is it just to their database, or is it their database and their cold Zillow leads and stuff like that, or is those two separate things?
Whatever they have access to data points, it doesn't matter what they want to send it out. I create it to where they can send it out. I create them a landing page. I create them a link to an Eventbrite where they can sign up. So they can market it to their cold. They can market to their active database. It doesn't matter to me. I don't put it on my socials immediately unless I'm not doing one. Then it hits my socials, their database, and Eventbrite. Once they have that, it's all about the name, the content, set the day and the time. We do the webinar. We have the call to actions within the webinar. Then we do the campaign after the webinar. And then we just stay on that campaign and that drip.
So they're responsible, they're part of the webinar, I'm responsible for my part
Correct.
of the webinar.
I always have a pre-webinar meeting. I should say that. I have a pre-webinar meeting that we map out what we're going to talk about. We always have a run through to make sure the systems work. You never want your webinar to not work the day of. I do have like you can do if you've ever been to any of Amir's webinars, before you get in there, you have that pre-hype video.
The sizzle reel?
Yeah, so I always have a video in there explaining kind of what the webinar is going to be about, right? Why educate book. So then I go through that whole thing. Yeah.
Can you talk about the landing page? What are you utilizing for the landing page?
MailChimp. Yeah, MailChimp.
Super
They're not my
easy.
favorite. Don't let me think that I'm just this pro MailChimp. It's just ease of access. I don't like their landing pages, They're not my favorite landing page, but they work. It's less about, landing pages are a whole science to itself, but I always make sure that I give out something. So like, hey, sign up for my webinar, get the ultimate home buyer checklist, or get the ultimate home buyer packet. And I just created like this whole, it's an encyclopedia of how to buy a house. So people want that, and I get their information at all points. So when they sign up for that, I'm getting their information as well if they don't sign up for the webinar.
How are you giving those freebies? ManyChat?
No, PDF, just through the MailChimp.
So you're
Email,
Okay, so
it's
you're-
triggered. Yep, email.
Just starts the journey and shoots them.
Yep, hits them in, everything's
And are you sending it to everybody or just people that showed up?
just the ones that click and sign up. Some of them don't click for the PDF. So, yeah, we got to wrap this up.